अच्छा बोलो, बुरा बोलो, but bolo. But the intent with using that phrase was it is just easier for you to explain. Everyone has played GTA. I can't say that we are building a game like Sleeping Dogs because Sleeping Dogs, while it's an amazing game, but the general public does not know what Sleeping Dogs is. When things go south, you have to adjust, you have to make adjustments to your life. Back in the day when this used to happen, I did not take a salary from my company for almost 11 and a half months, almost a year surviving without a salary, and I wouldn't feel like giving up ever. India wants to play very safe. I mean, that's in our DNA, right? Back in the day, it's not completely true that we haven't worked on a AAA title. Right? Indians have worked on AAA titles. But yeah, I think once you love what you do, time becomes irrelevant. And it's not to say that you need to clock. I went crying to my wife.
This is going to be one of the craziest episode
Yes.
because we have one of the most popular faces in the Indian gaming industry, as well as one of the controversial figures
Recently.
the founder of GameEon and the creator of Mumbai Gullies. Nikhil Malankar is here.
Thank you so much, Weber, for inviting me on the Great Indian Gaming Podcast. This episode is going to be packed with a lot of amazing stories and बहुत मजा आएगा.
I'm just waiting for all the things to come out. But yeah, I mean, how are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. Never been better. Actually, quite a good time. Quite a peaceful time in my life right now. You know, working silently on the game.
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever people are saying around me. So yeah, in a good space.
Yeah. But it's been a while. We also sat and discussed about things.
Yeah.
I have observed that you've been very low key about the game that you're building now.
Yeah.
But before we dive deeper into all of that, how did you like my opening statement? You believe in it, right?
100%.
You are in the middle of controversies, man.
When you reached out to me, we had a small WhatsApp chat and we had an exchange of conversation. And you asked me what should we cover.
Yeah.
Then I made a statement that don't worry, bro. I am controversy right now. So whatever it is,
Yeah.
this episode is going to get the most amount of views on your channel.
Damn, man. I want to, views and everything secondary, but I want to dive deeper into what you're going through, what the journey of Mumbai Gullies or the company.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of talks about the game, about the company, about you personally, right?
Yeah.
So let's get into that. But even before that, for just the two people out there who don't know you,
Yeah.
please, talk about who you are,
Yeah.
what is the company, and what you're doing.
Sure. So, hey guys, my name is Nikhil Malankar. I'm the founder and CEO of GameEon Studios. We're a game development company based in the city of Mumbai. And currently, and for the last 3.5 years, we have been working on this mega game that is Mumbai Gullies, which is an open world game based on the city of Mumbai. And I don't want to compare it with any other game, any other popular game out there, but it is a game that is a labor of love. That is a love letter from us to the city of Mumbai, the city that I am born and brought up in. So we are trying our level best to get this game out as soon as possible. I don't have a release date as of yet, but yeah, in a gist, that is about the game.
Crazy, man. I love you've been watching these Mumbai-based gangster movies before. Because
Yeah.
I'm a diehard fan of all these movies, right from Salim Langda
Yeah.
to Bombay to Black Friday and all of these.
Yeah.
Is there any inspiration coming from these things?
Lots and lots of inspiration. In fact, we've had collected a lot of references of a lot of Bollywood actors and movies and a lot of masala sequences from the early and late 90s because that's where the game is set in.
Okay.
So we've actually have taken heavy references of Bollywood actors. So a couple of characters in the game you will be able to relate to some of the actors in Bollywood and in real life as well.
Okay.
While it's a fictional setting, while the entire city map also it's not 1:1 Mumbai. It is a little bit of a fictional liberty that we're taking, but yeah, there is a heavy reference for Bollywood because without Bollywood, Mumbai is incomplete.
Yeah, absolutely. But you just gave a gist about the game. Talk about a little more details about what really player does in this game, and
Yeah.
how does the gameplay takes place?
Yeah, so I think I also want to point out a couple of aspects about the game right now. A lot of people are thinking that it's yet another generic open world game.
Yeah.
That's not the case. It's not just yet another reskin. There's a lot of research that we've put into the game. So, in a gist, if I were to sum up what the game is, it's like watching a Bollywood movie that you can control.
Got it.
That's what the game is about. There's a lot of masala, there's a lot of interesting aspects that you can do in the game. Very interesting radio songs that you can listen to while you're sitting in a car, just driving around the Marine Lines area. And there's an original storyline which I don't want to spoil right now, but it's a story that is very much rags to riches. You start off as a character from the bottom, rising up to the top. And the game is set in multiple parts. The reason for that is that we want to put out this content, put out this game in form of episodic content so that
Okay.
people can consume it slowly, steadily. And I'm here for the next decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, or whatever, because whichever popular game is there out there,
Yeah.
that has been a decade journey, 2 decade, 3 decade journey. So we are in this space. We are very new in this space right now, and while I've been in this space since 2013, but this is the first very ambitious and big project that we are working on.
Yeah.
So we want to give it all the time, love, and effort that we can give. Yeah.
Crazy, man. I mean, I was actually going to ask you about the gameplay hours. How many hours are you actually looking at?
Yeah.
But then the episodic content actually makes sense also.
Yeah.
But roughly how much would that be?
See, we are experimenting. The actual gameplay time differs because, of course, we'll have to do a lot of play testing. But for the first chapter, that is going to be free, by the way. We are planning about a 30 to 40 minute gameplay
Okay.
that people can experience in
Okay.
terms of storyline.
Okay,
And then,
that's
of
a
course,
news.
yeah, that is a news. And of course, they can extend the gameplay as much as they want. They can play the game endlessly, essentially, because there's a lot of other side activities in the game. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult to put out an exact number of hours right now.
Okay.
What we have typically planned is a range between 17 to 21 hours of
Okay.
total gameplay,
Okay.
but that will again differ because of a lot of other factors, because of playtesting and whatnot.
Got it. Got it. I love the fact that you mentioned that you're here for a few decades, right?
Yeah.
That's like the real hustlers, in the industry today. And I also know that you are a big fan of Shah Rukh.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Um, Before I actually want to know more about that also. But
Yeah.
I remember one of the interviews that I saw of Makaran Deshpande.
Yeah.
Crazy interview. But he mentioned about Shah Rukh in that interview, saying that they were shooting for Circus 30 years back
Yeah.
in Bombay, and both of them were in this series, and they came from their native places. Like he came from Delhi and he came from his native place,
Yeah.
and they were living in like a tight room, right? And there were like 8 people in that, and all of them had those aluminum trunks. But everybody had one trunk. Shah Rukh specifically had two trunks, like two big trunks.
Yeah.
And they used to make fun of Shah Rukh कि क्या है ये इतना सामान क्यों लाया और तो and all that stuff. Then Shah Rukh always used to answer them back saying that you guys are here for this series, I'm here for to settle down
Yeah.
and create like mannat out of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's like I'm totally on it because I've been seeing you hustling a lot for the last say 8-10 years, right?
Yeah.
Throughout the journey. You want to talk about the journey, how it all started for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So it started with passion, as it does for everyone, and then reality hits, and then you kind of try to make sense of the reality happening around you, right?
Yeah.
So when I started off way back in 2013, I was about 19 years old, and I foolishly started my company. I say foolishly because A, I don't come from a business family. B, I did not know how to make games.
What do your dad do?
My dad is in LIC, Life Insurance,
Okay.
Life Insurance Company of India.
Okay, so that one guy in a family who can skip 2 generations is you.
Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but definitely that is the ambition. When I started off, I had no idea how to make games, so that was a learning curve. So for almost the first 3 years, we did not make any money.
Okay.
We actually could not figure out how to make money through games
Okay.
because we used to love making games, made
Yeah.
all sorts of games. My
Dude,
first
I remember you guys were making something like a Counter Strike as well.
yeah
Something like a football, like a
yeah
FIFA also.
yeah. So we've made tons of games, and this is also one thing that I also want to point out is when people look at Mumbai Gullies, I read a lot of comments and wild assumptions, right? People think that this is our first game. No, it's not. We've made 200 odd games before this,
Yeah.
as though you have, like,
Yeah.
and this is how you've reached to Mukti.
Yeah.
But we've made all sorts of games, made all sorts of successful games as well as failure games, and learned through that journey. I remember back in the day, we also made a game on cricket, Box Cricket International 2016.
Yeah.
And back in the day, there were very few cricket games. And what happened is randomly this game got featured on Google Play, and suddenly it saw a huge influx of downloads. That was the first moment of success for us.
Got it.
But then again, that was a bit too late in our journey because by 2016, college journey was almost coming to an end. So there was a bit of a parental pressure to get serious with life. So we had to kind of put this thing on a hold because we were earning money by the end of 2016, but it was not enough to sustain
That
as a
was
company.
outsourcing money.
Not outsourcing money technically because outsourcing happened in my second GameEon
Okay.
2.0
Okay.
is
The
what I
later
say.
part.
But we were just making our games. We were making games for mobile platform, working with all distribution platforms like Moj back in the day
Yeah.
for value-added services and whatnot, right? And primarily relying on Google Play Store as a primary source to drive downloads and revenue through ads and in-app
Okay.
purchases. But then again, I think we were too early on in our journey. And then in 2016, I realized that somewhere down the lane, I needed some formal training in game development. That's where magically one opportunity came to me, wherein I got a job opportunity under Mr. Sanjay Soni,
Okay.
who hired me as a tech lead for a new venture that he had started back then. So through that 1 year of journey, I learned everything that there is to know about the industry. Then after that job, I was at a crossroads. It was a
So you
contract.
were actually into hands-on in coding.
Yeah. So I think almost for 7.5 to 8 years of my life, I have actually proper coded.
Okay.
In fact, even almost 2013 to 2016, all the games that were made in-house, I contributed to code in every single one of them.
Got it.
And then about my journey in 2017, by the end of 2018 was where my contract with him ended. Now I was at a crossroad. What should I do? Should I hop from one job to the other, or should I start, give my company again a
You
restart?
say job because at that point of time, the control on GameEon was not with you.
Not technically as such. I mean, when I started my company in 2013, we had started out as a bunch of friends, right?
Yeah.
And by 2016, we had disbursed.
Got it.
So my friends with whom I had started my company kind of settled themselves into other roles, other jobs, etc. So that's where we kind of disbursed. And it was basically a phase wherein we were all exploring ourselves.
Got it.
So there was no, like GameEon was basically on a sabbatical. I would say company was on a sabbatical. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got it back in 2018-19.
In 2019, yeah, and then I rebooted the operations of the company. This
But
time
then the
around,
fuck up of COVID came in.
actually, that was not a mess up
For you.
for us,
Yeah.
because I'll tell you what. In 2019, we started the company, and this time around, I thought that पैसों के ऊपर focus करते, let's focus on money, because otherwise I don't want to face the brunt of parents saying that
Yeah.
settle
क्या कर
yourself.
रहा है अभी तक?
हाँ. So what we did was, that is when we started taking outsourcing projects and contracts.
Understood.
So we got a chance to work with the likes of Disney India, Zassar Technologies and whatnot, and that's what helped us gain a foothold in the revenue space. So year one we did about 20 lakhs of revenue
Okay.
through providing services to clients.
How big was the team at that time?
I started with 3 people. One was myself, and one was a programmer, one was an artist.
Okay.
Then in
That's a
2009
decent money for a small team.
yeah, and that very year we grew to a team size of 8 people. And in that year, net profit of the company was 5 lakhs. So it was a decent space for me to validate, because 20 lakhs as a sum we
Yeah.
had not even earned from 2013 to 2016.
Yeah.
So in that 1 year, if I'm earning 20 lakhs, it means that I'm onto something, right?
Yeah.
And then COVID hit. I was very scared. To be very honest, I was so scared and uncertain, as though everyone was, right?
Yeah.
That what would happen. But turns out magically it was a blessing in disguise. And our studio grew from 20 lakhs to 2.36 crores in revenue, out of which 1.76 crores was net profit.
Wow.
And
that is all through
through services, because we saw a lot of inbound inquiries for the company.
And that's India as well as outside India.
Majorly India,
Okay.
because our foothold was in India.
Okay.
But we did get a couple of servicing inquiries from abroad as well, which we were able to close. But majority of the chunk of revenue was from India.
Got
So I remember waking up from bed, hopping onto the computer, and then working, I don't know,
Yeah.
like a crazy amount of hours. I don't want to comment you should work so many hours, but whatever.
No, I am going to get into that. But I remember we were also working on something where we were discussing things at 4 a.m. at night.
Yeah. That
was the same time, I think.
It was a crazy time. And then from 8 members we grew to 20 people, and that is when I thought that I had this crazy idea, because of which I had started my company. And I thought that because I was able to crack that crore mark, right, I should be now able to execute on a project of Mumbai Gullies scale.
Yeah.
So, but there was another challenge, which was, is Mumbai Gullies even needed in the market?
Yeah.
We end up making products that we love,
Correct.
but are they even needed in the market? We didn't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
So, and I also realized that making Mumbai Gullies is going to cost us a lot in terms of, raw money that we'll have to pump into the project.
True.
A lot of people say that, why don't you make a game by yourself? Are you not talented enough to make a game by yourself?
Absolutely. Yeah. YouTube. Thank you.
I tell them one thing. No, I'm not talented enough. I mean, like, if we were to just break down a game of this scale, right? Let me just break down the game for the audience. It is not just one guy sitting and coding the game. It is actually so many people, and you do need involvement of multiple people to make a game of this scale. Because there is not just the code part, but there is art, there is 3D models, there is animation, there is rigging, there is cutscenes, there is voiceovers, there is in-game content. So,
and these are all things that you're mentioning are skill based, which are where you actually implement those things.
Yeah.
But even the tougher part is the execution, the production, the pipeline that you need to manage.
Yeah.
Which includes multiple pipelines.
Yeah.
Is crazy, and people actually don't.
And when you start showcasing the game at a couple of places, you find out that, hey, audience is playing this game in a particular way, but we designed it in another way.
Yeah.
So you observe the audience, you see that, okay, they are not able to figure this out. So then you go back to the drawing board, you scrap a lot of ideas. Sometimes you scrap the entire project at once, and you say that, okay, we'll start from scratch.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of learning curve that goes into picture, and that's the reason why that's the cause of game delays happening.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's even a single studio out there that has met deadlines. And this is what I'm talking about for bigger studios as well. So who are we in that huge ocean? We're just a speck of dust.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is the status now? How big is the team today?
Yeah.
And how is Mumbai Gullies doing?
So back in the day, when we needed a lot of groundwork done for the game, we had a team size of about 55 people. Right now we have all the foundational work done. So we right now have a full-time team of 21 people.
Okay.
And we do work with a lot of freelancers for the game, for outsourcing some of the production aspects. Because what we observed is building a team is cool and fancy, but it also comes at a cost. And that's a fixed cost. And from a business perspective, you always have to look at efficiency. Now, of course, games abroad have budgets in multi-million dollars, right?
Yeah.
In India, unfortunately, there has been no success stories. There has been no major success stories, with the exception of Raji in the past, that have cracked that code, right?
Yeah.
So we, like studios like ours and yourselves, we have to go through that learning curve, through those multiple failures that don't really come out in front of the audience, but these are silent battles that we fight ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's the intent right now. I mean, as I said, right, I'm in a very happy space right now.
Yeah.
Because we've gone through that frustrating curve. We've gone through all these multiple failures and aspects that we couldn't possibly figure out. And we were very clear from day one that, this is our first game of such a scale.
Yeah.
I don't want to put out the word AAA or whatever, because that's just, we are building a very high quality game as of now, right? But I think the bigger picture over here is to be able to figure out these things.
Yeah.
So, and teach people, teach the future generations.
Correct.
That, hey, these are the things that we made mistakes in. And that's the intent with both of our channels, right?
Yeah. See, the
so
thing
yeah.
is, I totally get what you're saying, because the other day we were talking about the same thing in the conference also.
Yeah.
In the panel, that India still, we can say that India has talent, but the experience that is
Yeah.
required to build such big scale games
Yeah.
is not there yet,
Yeah.
right? And probably the people who are burning their hands already, attempting to do these bigger games like
Yeah.
what we are doing with Mukti, and we are fortunate that Sony is helping
Sony is
in
helping
that.
you,
But
yes.
in your case,
Yeah.
you are trying to build a game. While you're doing that, there are thousands of things that I can really imagine today.
Yeah.
Last year I couldn't, because I didn't go through this production phase of Mukti at that time, right? But
Right.
now today, after learning so many nuances from Sony, I can say, the learnings that both of us probably, and other people who are building bigger games,
Yeah.
are going through, all of these things need to be documented, and pass on to the next generations, or the
Yeah.
people who want to build bigger games.
Yeah.
And that is the correct way of building an ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is where you can actually see India making bigger games in the
Yeah.
next few years.
Yeah. I also have a small bit of a disappointment, I would say,
Yeah.
is that, while we are doing all of these things, we tend to get misjudged.
Yeah.
Because we don't know that thing, right? And I think that is inherently rooted in the way that we are groomed in our culture.
Yeah.
Is we are taught not to fail.
Yeah.
While growing up, we are taught not to fail, but that's not how life works.
Correct.
Life throws all kinds of obstacles at you, and you have to literally, and especially being an entrepreneur, after you jump out of the plane, you have to build a parachute for yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think what people need to understand right now is it's okay that you don't support a project.
Yeah.
Right? But at least if you have to recognize the efforts. If it's a failure, then you can kind of say whatever you want. Of course, that's your right. But I have a philosophy that till the point of time a kid has given his exam and he's awaiting his result, you can't call him a success or failure.
Yeah.
You can't possibly predict till the point of time that result is in his hands,
Yeah.
in his or her hands, that you are a failure. So till the point of time our game is not out there, nobody can call it a failure. And
I would add something to that, is
Yeah.
even if he fails, he's not a failure, man.
Yeah,
It's something.
that's a yeah.
See, because when we speak to Sony about the whole thing, right, about Mukti,
Yeah.
there are a lot of expectations for sure, right? But it is okay
Yeah.
if the game does decent, right?
Yeah.
It's important that the game comes out. It's important that the team learns a lot of things throughout this
I want to
process.
point out one word: team. Team, right? When people look at Mumbai Gullies right now, they look at my face.
Yeah.
They look at, hey, this is the guy. This is the
Yeah.
guy behind the game. But that's not true. There are actual real people working on the project. So
Yeah.
whenever I read some stuff about the game that is not really taken in the best spirit, I don't get affected. But people have to realize that that's not me.
Yeah.
That is the team that you're kind of talking about indirectly. So it's a bit difficult to go through that journey, but right now I've made my peace with it. You say whatever you want. Yeah.
You've gone through hell of
Yeah.
the trolling, or I've seen people actually commenting, and there is a backlash usually. And let's talk about the hard fights, right?
Yeah.
The transparently.
Yeah.
There has been a lot of backlash when there's some sort of announcement also, right?
Yeah.
And you've dealt with it really, with your head high.
Yeah.
How do you deal with all these stuff? And another thing, I also feel there is a very unfair scrutiny on Indian game developers compared to global.
Yeah. You know what I'll tell you? One thing. Negativity gets picked up faster. Right. Kamla, game so beautifully made.
Yeah.
where is all the recognition that it rightly deserves? Raji has received accolades in the West, but I still see comments from people that,
Yeah.
don't look at it or don't give it the recognition that it rightfully deserves. So I think that's a mindset that we need to educate people, and I think this is one of the statement that I made during the conference as well, that the education bit in game development or gaming is missing.
Yeah.
We don't have teachers telling us in school that this is the regulated amount of time. We don't have teachers telling the parents
Yeah.
that these are the games that your child should play. A child discovers all of these things by themselves, right? So that is something that we have to kind of look at it from a perspective that people don't know. And the way that I deal with all of these is that I have a simple thought process. I'll say this in Hindi because that's how it's impactful. अच्छा बोलो, बुरा बोलो, but बोलो.
Yeah, I was actually coming to that. You strongly believe in PR,
Yeah,
be it positive or negative.
yeah.
Tell me about it, like, because I totally get that,
Yeah.
and I have seen people succeeding with that as well.
Yeah.
What is your thought? What is your ideology on negative PR?
I think it's just once you catch momentum with something, you have to make sure that you don't lose it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that this PR around me is happening in a non-organic way, that I'm paying a couple of YouTubers and all. No, everyone is coming to me, and a lot of people have made negative videos on the game,
Yeah.
and they've risen their channels, or they've got a lot of popularity
Yeah.
because of talking negative. In fact, whenever I put out a video on Mumbai Gullies, I get lesser views compared to these other controversial channels. But I think that's a win by itself, right? I mean, it's okay. Like, the game is not out yet. So I'm just patiently waiting for the day when the game comes out. And if it's good, then I'll have the best time of my life. I'll stay silent, but I think that will be an answer to whoever made all these videos.
Yeah.
But I also want to thank them for keeping me relevant
Relevant in the
to this
in
day.
the news.
And seriously, like, it's every single day, and I'm seriously so grateful for all the attention. I couldn't have possibly got this
Mileage.
by spending so much on advertising. And a lot of people think that we spend on advertising.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time on content creation. I don't. I mean, much of my time is actually going on into ensuring that the studio is functional, that there is enough money in the bank to pay people,
Yeah.
that there is a lot of wherever the studio is stuck in terms of production pipeline, that's where I step in and make the right connections.
Yeah,
YouTube,
it's true, guys.
Huh.
It's 7 a.m. in the morning and we are shooting this.
it is, we are shooting this right now so that the rest of the day does not get
Yeah,
affected,
of course.
right? So this is a very tiny part, but this is what gets showcased.
Yeah.
This is what gets highlighted and shown in the public eye.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of misconception, but whatever it is, you say whatever you want. I'll do my job. Your job is to talk about me. You do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. What was that breakthrough moment that you saw on Mumbai Gullies on internet? Like, when did it actually blow up?
It started blowing up the moment we put out the trailer, and I think that is because back then I had about 20,000 subscribers on YouTube,
Yeah.
right? And I was already known in MySpace. So, the moment I put out that video, people started going crazy. And all of a sudden, there were comments from Tanmay Bhatt, Scout,
Wow.
and even Mythpat reached out to me
Yeah.
saying that he loved the game and all. So I think it's not one single moment that I could pick out, because it's like a beautiful mosaic that has come into picture, and it is now forming the entire final image, right? So, but the moment we launched the game trailer, that itself was the instant of creation of everything that is happening so far. So I think I would
Yeah.
I would
I
be
remember the reaction channel from Jebby.
Jabikoi, yeah,
Jabikoi,
Jabikoi.
yeah.
That was one of the highlights of Mumbai Gullies being recognized on the global stage, because here was this guy sitting in LA making reaction videos on Indian content.
Yeah.
And I've been following Jabby since 2016 actually. So to actually see my game being reacted to on his channel was a huge moment for me. And back earlier this year when we showcased the game at GDC, I also got a chance to meet him physically in LA.
Crazy.
He did come down to our office as well earlier. So that was genuinely a good thing to see the game being recognized on the global level
Yeah.
and not just on an India scale.
Crazy, man. Like the similar example we had when we did Skatelander, and while Skatelander was there on the App Store,
Yeah.
there was one YouTuber that I used to follow a lot at that time, because Touch Arcade and all these Apple games, hardly few YouTubers used to cover them. And this guy, Lonnie,
Yeah.
he had like 2 million subscribers on YouTube or so. He actually messaged us, about the game and all. We actually picked him up and put it in the game.
Yeah.
He made a crazy video of him playing himself in the game, and then it again went viral in Russia and all that stuff happened, man.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, crazy stories. Like, I mean, not just YouTubers now, even, I think it's a matter of relatability to the audience.
Yeah,
Mumbai Gullies as a project is very relatable. Like, every Tom, Dick, and Harry that I knew back in the day
yeah,
used to have a dream that, we need
yeah,
to
yeah,
have a
yeah,
game like so and so game based on the city of Mumbai, but
yeah,
nobody really attempted it. There was an attempt in parallel to us with the game Maya Nagri. It's unfortunate what happened to the studio, but I think I would appreciate their effort as well because they were trying to build it for mobile.
yeah,
And we used to always jokingly say that Maya Nagri is the mobile version of Mumbai Gullies,
yeah.
and we were also supporting them. We did a small podcast on our channel as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting aspects. I would also like to talk a little bit about the community angle that we're doing, but I
Yeah,
think that is something that we'll save it for a later question
yeah,
in this video itself.
yeah. Crazy, crazy. But do you think the mobile, because you're mentioning mobile, right? And since I think you and me and a few others also focusing on PC and console, do you think mobile ad has dominated the market, and that's something that has harmed the PC and console market in India?
So, I mean, I look at it from a perspective that mobile is going to stay the largest market share in terms of gaming
Yeah,
because mobile is accessible to everyone. Like even a rickshawala or some school teacher teaching in a school or your 60-year-old grandma or grandpa have a mobile phone. So
yeah,
naturally they will play games on there. But I think while that has affected the PC and console market, definitely, but I think the hardcore gamers at heart will still definitely want to play an experience on PC or console. It's like you can watch a movie in a theater, you can watch a movie on a small screen, but
yeah,
that experience of watching it in a theater is completely different.
yeah,
Like you have your, couple of AAA titles being ported to mobile as well, like GTA Vice City, GTA Liberty City, and a couple of other GTA San Andreas has been ported to mobile.
yeah,
But when was the last time that you played a game like that on mobile and truly enjoyed it for the storyline? Because what happens is when you're playing on mobile, you get cluttered with a lot of other things that catch your attention.
yeah,
Like you've got your notifications coming, suddenly your mom is saying that come eat,
yeah,
come to eat food, or your girlfriend is texting that hey baby where are you, whatever, right? So mobile is a place which is more for the casual audience.
yeah,
Definitely, there's a small transition happening in the hardcore space as well, where you got your PUBGs and BGMIs of the world,
yeah,
wherein professional esports players are also playing on there. But I think story-based games like your game, my game, and some game like God of War or something, or Last of Us, you've got some beautiful posters over here. Uh, Almost all of them except Mario and Skatelander are PC games, right?
yeah,
So you enjoy them as an experience. It's like when you go to watch a movie, that experience counts. So from a PC and console perspective, I think it's a niche market,
yeah.
but it is a market that is here to stay
Got
forever.
it, got it. I also feel that earlier people used to figure out time to play games, which was PC,
Yeah.
right? Today, the world has moved to a point where people play games when they have time.
Yeah.
So they're playing a game in a restroom, they're playing a game while they are commuting, and you can't actually get immersed in a story in short breaks. to like a minute or 2 minutes of gameplay, you really can't get involved into that game. So yeah, I mean, crazy man. I wish and I see, things growing a lot for PC and console in
Yeah.
India as well.
Yeah.
We know a lot of people are actually building great games today in silos, which are not yet out. Nobody
Yeah.
has spoken about them
Yeah.
yet. But yeah, 3-4 years down the line, crazy games are coming out.
Yeah,
from
there is going to be an explosion of awesome games that will pop out of India. I remember when I was at GDC this year, at our booth, and just neighboring to our booth was Nazara's technologies booth,
Yeah,
and I got a chance to interact with Mr. Nitish Mittasen. Nitish sir was there, and he made a statement over there. He said that eventually India will become so big that someday, some year, there will be GDC happening in San Francisco or wherever. And when people arrive at that event, they will get confused that is this GDC or is this IGDC? That's the amount of games that are going to go out there from India on the global stage and make a huge dent in the gaming universe.
yeah. About this PC and console, right? I have this one theory. Just let me know what you think, right?
Yeah.
Because we've been talking about the AAA titles and all. Why do you think? I'll tell you the theory, but before that, I want to understand your perspective on why has India not produced a AAA title yet?
See, I think my thoughts on this are that India wants to play very safe. I mean, that's in our DNA, right? Back in the day, it's not completely true that we haven't worked on a AAA title, right? Indians have worked on AAA titles. Dhruva Interactive, which was one of the biggest, largest outsourcing company from India, which is also one of the oldest one, right? They worked on so many assets for Forza and a couple of other AAA titles, right?
Yeah.
So the fact is not true that Indians have not worked on AAA titles. They have. The reason that why they have not taken that risk is again in our DNA. We are taught from the childhood ki settle yourself in padhai kar lo, get a degree, settle yourself into a well-paying job, and that completely translates into our entire thesis of life, right?
Okay.
So that is the reason why people were not willing to take that risk to invest in such a huge timeline and having no guarantee at the end of the road that will this be a success or failure.
Yeah.
And that is my thesis, that is my philosophy on why we did not have a AAA title yet. But I think right now, because of all the advancements in technology and a lot of influx of funding coming into India, that narrative is completely flipped, and now people are willing to take a lot of risk. Happy to understand your perspective as well.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I still feel, that you can't give somebody $20 million and tell them to build a AAA title.
True.
It's not that easy.
True.
A company that raises $20 million goes on the drawing board and starts building a AAA title. नहीं होता ऐसे. Why? I feel because I keep on hammering this thing again and again. The expertise, the experience is missing.
Right.
Today, what we are also doing is actually going through that hard phase to understand and know all those nuances, and then that basically is the experience.
Yeah.
Probably our second or third game would be a AAA title because we've gone through that, right? It's not just about money because पैसा बहुत पड़ा हुआ है. It's not about, and VC is also very smart, man. It's not that there is no case study and that's what they are smart. They can identify, they know the credibility of people, they know what the team is, and that is how the betting is also happening on the companies, right?
Right.
But here's the thought, here's the theory that I totally believe in it. The only problem in India today is those nice studios who can actually execute global standard content, right? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Money is not the problem. If you have that studio in India, there will be crazy amount of money flowing in on that studio, betting on that studio to build a bigger game.
Yeah.
Right? Today in Bollywood, like India is the biggest producer of movies, right? It's Bollywood and look at the South. crazy.
Yeah.
The extraordinary talent of directors is there in South, right? Look at their metrics. They are spending 400 to 500 crores on a movie. Money is there.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's content. Be it movie, be it game. Game still is a much better content because it's interactive, it's replayable, it has a longer, time span that people
Right.
can spend on. They're spending 400, 500 crores on a movie, and there is a cap on the amount of money that they can make out of it. RRR, I think, made to 1200 crores. Today, everybody is rooting for Pushpa to do 2000 crores. But that is it. There is a benchmark. There is a cap to it कि उसके ऊपर पैसा नहीं बनने वाला, right? Imagine if 3 years down the line, there are 10 studios who have gone through all these bullshit, have ample amount of experience, and they're ready to build the next AAA titles. Why wouldn't Raja Mauli invest in a studio like this to build? Eventually it's storytelling and it's going for the global world.
Yeah.
Right? Look at Wukong and look at the numbers. Right? They made more than 8,000 crores. There is no cap to it.
Yeah.
There is a lot of margin, there is a lot of potential that these people can execute the same amount of, expertise that is going on building a movie.
Even
And that is why,
yeah.
sorry to cut you. The last thing, that is why I feel in the next 7 to 10 years, where we say today India is not producing AAA titles, in next 7 to 10 years, India would be the biggest producer of AAA titles.
I agree 100% on that. And this is the background work or the foundational work that you and I are responsible to do to execute for the studios that will be coming up in the future, and to provide them with all the support and infrastructure. I can easily see that eventually, once Mukti and once Mumbai Gullies, and I'm not saying if, once Mukti and Mumbai Gullies become a success, we will also be sitting on the other side, becoming probably investors and guidance, providing guidance as mentors to people who want to build the next big title out of India. There's no dearth of talent. There's no shortage of talent in India. We have the right set of people. All we need is the right set of guidance. And right now with you are getting the guidance from Sony. We are getting the guidance from experience and failure and a lot of negative comments, whatever. So I think that is a journey that we will have to go through, so that people in the future can work and achieve their dreams, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On these negative comments, right, I want to actually bring out one of the recent episodes that happened with Indus, right? The Zassar controversy. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, see, before we come to Zassar, he's just a kid. But before we come to that, I want to say that I don't know why there is this mindset that if you want to recognize a good content, there has to be some bad content that you anchor it to. I'm actually talking about one game called Scarfall 2.0.
Okay.
Now, this is something that I've observed from my end, is that suddenly after the Indus controversy, people started noticing this game and talking about that Scarfall 2.0 is a good game.
Okay.
Right? Why? Why can't there be videos on a game that is good if the game is good at the very beginning? That is also one of the things with that happened with Kamla. Kamla got wildly popular. Carrie Minati played the game and whatnot, right? But where does that translate to revenue? If it was a global game and it rightfully deserves to be one, it would have made millions and millions of dollars in the West, right? So that's just one thing that kind of irks me a bit, that if you want to praise someone, you have to bring someone down. That shouldn't be the case. Now, let's talk about Zassar. Back in the day, he made one video.
Oh, you already knew him?
Yeah.
Man, I actually got
wow, you don't know this part? The reason why his channel grew was because of one video that he made on Mumbai Gullies. And that's where his channel started growing up. So actually, I am the controversy before the controversy, actually. I don't think a lot of people
I
know
want to
this.
know. I want to know about this.
I don't think a lot of people know this, but if you look at his channel and a couple of older videos, you'll see that if you scroll to his popular videos,
Yeah.
one of the videos will be about Mumbai Gullies, and that is actually the first video on his channel that blew up,
Okay.
because of which he crossed, that 5,000 subscribers, 10,000 subscribers, and now he's sitting
And
on
his
what?
limits also.
My God. But yeah, I mean, I think he's just a kid. He's got a long journey to go. One advice to him would be that, boss, you want to say something, put out your face to it.
Yeah.
You just, it's a bit like whatever people are talking about me, I'm here. This is my face. You know me.
Yeah.
When I go to IGDC, I face people. I talk to people.
Yeah.
You need to own your content.
Yeah.
If you're saying something, you have to own it. And I think you can't hide behind a virtual avatar or just a voice and say whatever you want without owning it. That's one. And second thing is just be a bit matured. I mean, come on, you don't have to use all kinds of abuses to just make your point. You can say that this is a bad game, I didn't like it. People will accept that. But going out of the way just because of, and then when something goes negative your way, then you
Yeah.
react to it negatively and then bring a whole lot of community along with you,
Yeah.
which are again young impressionable kids, which is what I feel bad for the 13-14-year-old kids that follow his channel, is that they see a lot of josh in him,
Yeah.
but then at the same time, he also kind of got scared after the entire incident that
Yeah.
happened with him.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that whatever happened was right from both parties.
Yeah.
Everyone is a culprit of their own mistakes. But like when we talk about specifically Zassar, I think he has a lot of potential if he mends his ways. Otherwise, the only content that will get attention from him is when he puts out a negative video.
Yeah.
Like,
See, his objective is very like it's done, right? We are talking about him.
it's done. Yeah.
It's done. Like
That is what is about me as well.
yeah.
For Mumbai Gullies as well. You say positive, you say negative, but you talk.
Yeah. Dude, like forget all the crap. Forget about a lot of people like who believes, who doesn't believe in you and the game and all that stuff. Something that I really like about you is the thing that you mentioned, right? You own up a lot, right?
Yeah.
You actually have the balls to actually go and face.
Yeah.
I saw you, man. You wore a hoodie in IGDC saying the Mumbai Gullies kab aayega mat pucho. Who does that, man?
Why not? I mean, why not? There is no rule book. There is no rule book.
Yeah. But on this Zassar thing, what really happened with you? I want to know about that, man.
So see, since our game has been in production for a long time, right? People assume a lot of things, and I would also backtrack. I would say that it was a bit of my mistakes as well, because this was first time happening in my life. Wherein you're getting a lot of attention, so you get excited. You commit to a couple of things in public
Yeah.
that you cannot achieve. Yeah, that you probably can achieve, but maybe going through that journey, there are a few things that happen along the way, due to which your timelines and commitment gets pushed. So one thing I've learned from this entire incident is now don't put out a release date, don't commit to a release
To
timeline,
the timelines, yeah.
and do not showcase a quality that is not complete, because
Yeah.
people will judge you on that quality,
Yeah.
and that is primarily the only reason why people are not understanding the full potential of the game, and people are thinking that it is just yet another
Yeah.
reskin.
Yeah.
Is that when we were building, we wanted to test out systems, and because of that we used a few production hacks, relying on assets here and there, which eventually later on we kind of reshuffled and changed internally. But what happened is, because we wanted to showcase a quality, we started showcasing the game, and we started showcasing the outcome of that showcase as well,
Yeah.
which is what was a mistake in hindsight, right?
Yeah.
Which enraged a lot of gamers, and I agree from their perspective that
Yeah, because I actually like now it makes sense
Yeah.
because I wanted to bring that up as well because
Yeah.
let's be brutal about it.
Sure.
Last year, the thing that the demo that you showcased at IGDC didn't
Yeah.
go really well with, I think, everybody.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so there were a few key wins and a few key losses that we faced over there. So I'll talk about the wins and losses both. The wins was that it was a huge graphical upgrade from what we had showcased the year before.
Okay.
So people liked the graphics, but the backlash started from the year before that,
Okay.
wherein the trailer quality and the gameplay quality was not matching.
Okay.
So then the year later, what happened is the graphics quality matched, but then some of the gameplay features kind of messed up,
Got it.
right? And it would have been fine if that was just a feedback that we got from the audience over there.
Yeah.
But then, there were footages out there in the public wherein people started criticizing that, hey, look at this is the bug, this is how the character is walking, this is his walk cycle is not proper.
Yeah.
So I think every game in its development cycle goes through this journey. So there is nothing new about it. The only fact is that because we had committed that the game is going to be released by so and so date,
Yeah.
and there were these gameplay footages, so people put like 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, and they assumed a certain outcome out of it, right? That is where people thought that, okay, maybe this is the final quality and this is how they are going to launch, which was not the case. I mean, I have delayed the game more than twice or thrice after committing to a timeline in public. So learning from that experience, I say that right now, whenever I talk about Mumbai Gullies, I have a definite timeline wherein we are going to the market, but I'm not committing to it till the point of time we have put out a teaser and have a definite thing, because game launch actually involves a huge cycle, and this is something that we also learned from a small experiment of a game that we had done. It's a game called Temple of Causality. It's a small puzzle game. We put it
Yeah.
out on Steam, which was a learning experience for us, which taught us a lot of things, because once you want to launch on Steam,
Yeah.
you have to go through
The
that.
point A to point B,
Yeah.
you actually get to understand when you actually publish something.
Correct. And you may want to publish at an X date, but if you don't have a build ready that you've submitted to Steam,
Yeah.
that approval process takes some time, which is about 14, 20 days, 20 odd
Correct.
days or so. So before that happens, you can't possibly have a launch date.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is something that we learned, and I think I'm grateful to the learnings. Whatever happened. We can't change the past. So
Yeah.
I'm owning up to all the mistakes. And
Yeah.
it is
No,
what it is.
I think it makes sense, and this actually one of the learnings that people should also learn from that. If you want to build something decent, right? Like even if it's like a 3 months timeline or scope that you're looking at, probably before doing that, do like a 10-day thing, put it out, just to understand the nuances of it, just to understand the pipeline of it.
Yeah.
I remember we did a for IGDC BYOG, we made a very small game called Till the Dawn Waiting. It was about a pet who is abandoned in a hurricane that happened in Florida. So it was like a real story, few real stories from an article that I took, made a game on it. So when you open the game, there's a bench and there's a dog, and he's tied to a pole, and he's waiting for his owner to return.
Oh, that's
So it's like a straight 30 minutes. It was actually designed for 1 hour, where he's waiting, and there are multiple different animals that come. He speak to them. It's like a point and click dialogue based thing, and everybody's convincing him to leave, but he's just waiting there.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to disappoint his owner. If at all he comes back, he's not there, right? I
It
designed it.
actually gave me shivers listening to this narrative, because this instantly reminded me of Hachiko.
Yeah, and I actually read about the dog
Yeah.
before that, so I clubbed it together, and I designed it for 1 hour, and I took it to IGDC, right? I realized people couldn't finish the game. They started weeping in the middle of the game. Oh, there was one reporter who was not ready to click the final call, like the final call where you make a call that you either have to leave or he didn't, right? I had to cut it down to 25 minutes because it really fucked with people's mind, and it's there on Steam today, right? But the whole purpose of that game was to understand the pipeline of Steam.
Yeah.
But eventually it turned out we found a gold out of it,
Yeah.
right? Because that game is 25 minutes, but I'm super proud of it. If you go on YouTube, you will see a list of all the YouTubers, smaller YouTubers, playing that game with their pets, with their dog, with their cat, and they're playing that game and they're weeping literally.
It's beautiful, beautiful. And I want to extend on this part, all right? When I talk about, like, you mentioned about getting it play tested. When we started getting those feedback, I'm not saying that playtest feedback was wrong. People are rightfully, uh, it
It's
is their
subjective,
opinion.
right?
It is their opinion.
Yeah.
And that is something that we're 100% have to agree with. Like, that is something that we agree with, because see, at the end of the day, if you don't get such brutal feedback in during your development, then that feedback is going to come from actual real audience who are going to play the game. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to check this game out.
Yeah.
And for the audience who are watching this, check out, like, just leave the link in the
Yeah, I'll
description
drop
or
a link
something.
in the description. But you actually pointed out the delays, right? I want to know what happens because you raised investments. How much did you raise till now?
About 1.5 million
1.5
dollars.
million is a big number.
Yeah.
Like for indie studios like us, right? It's quite a big number. When delays happen like these, right? How do you deal with the investment side of it? Because that would be a solid pressure on you.
It is a pressure, but it is something that you have to deal with, because life doesn't get easier. And
Yeah.
it's just something, because and this is our struggle, of course. It's not for people to care about even, and I
Yeah.
don't even expect people to empathize with that, because this is a subject that we've taken. This is a ambition that we've taken.
Yeah.
And when things go south, you have to adjust. You have to make adjustments to your life, to a couple of aspects. I mean, I remember back in the day when this used to happen, I did not take a salary from my company for almost 11 and a half months,
Mm.
almost a year, surviving without a salary.
Yeah.
And not just that, draining all my savings
Yeah.
into the company.
All of us have, man.
And then people come in that scam.
Yeah.
He says,
It's brutal.
it's like, till the point of time you say negative about the company or the product, or not even the company, for the product, that's fine. But then people seldom realize that there is someone who's trying to make this happen, and they're going through their own struggles. And I'm not just saying about me, it is also the team that is associated with the product and
Yeah.
the ambition that they bring to the table, right?
Correct.
So when such things go south, one thing is for sure, that you have to be absolutely brutally honest with your investors,
Yeah.
because you can't paint a picture with them saying that everything is good and well.
Yeah.
And this is something that, when you need help, you need help.
Yeah.
So I think we've been blessed with some really good investors who have backed us through and through,
Yeah.
in our good times, bad times, and ugly times, which is where we were able to go through the good, bad, ugly, and then rise back up to the good part, which is what I am in right now. So that is how you deal with, just by being brutally honest about your situation. If your clothes are torn, people can see it.
Yeah.
There's no point in covering that up or hiding that out. So that is how it is, and that goes same for the team as well. You have to communicate what your situation is, and you have to then test out who sticks through.
Yeah.
And it is not their job or responsibility to stick through you just because you're nice to them and just because you're taking care of them, whatever. They have their own ambitions and all, but it is your responsibility to be absolutely cutthroat, honest, and upfront with your team and investors, because that's how you gain credibility. Everything else does not matter. What people are saying from outside, it does not matter.
Yeah.
If your home is in order, if your house is in order, then everything else will fall in place.
Correct.
That's what my belief is.
Correct. And it's all about relationships, right? Be it with the team or the investors, because what I feel is investors majorly they look at the business plan and all that. They eventually have to make money and all. That is fine.
Yeah.
But the top priority always remains with people. Like investors believe in people.
Yeah.
They give you money because they believe in you specifically.
Yeah.
As founders also, right? What is that one thing that worked for you every time? Because you you raised money every, after every interval.
Even in the worst time.
Yeah, in the worst times. What really worked for you?
See, one thing that really worked for us is data, because investors do rely on data no matter how nice of a person you are. It does not matter. Yes, that is one big component, one key component.
Yeah.
But beyond that, your actual numbers have to speak. So we actually created an 86-pager report of Mumbai Gullies as a project,
Okay.
wherein we play tested across everywhere, right? Like your GDC, your Gamescom Latam, and a couple of other showcases that we did worldwide.
Okay.
We put all of those into a 86-pager report,
Okay.
and we identified what this is the demography of people, this is how people are reacting, this is where we got the best response, this is where we got the worst response. We combined all of that data and we created that. That's one. Second aspect is, again, the public numbers are actually quite in our favor, regardless of whatever content is being put out, right? So if there is anticipation for something, that will eventually convert into sales.
Got it.
Combined with our strategy that the first version that we are going to launch is going to be completely free with no in-app purchases, nothing whatsoever. So naturally, our competitors are huge in the space, and
Yeah.
we are a small fish in a big pond right now.
Yeah.
And if we want to get attention from people, we have to do a lot of things right and be at the right place at the right time. And I think that strategy and the way that we've put it forward to our investors is what made them believe in the product. And apart from that, your public Steam wish lists and all, these are actual hard data that you can showcase to investors. So yeah, these are a couple of aspects that have worked for us, and we've been very upfront about the delays. Before the audience comes to know about the delays, we communicate the delays to our investors
Got it.
before that itself. So and these are natural things, right? I mean, see, like this is something like, say for example, even you're running your own studio right now, you're building Mukti. What happens if one of your programmer falls sick?
Yeah.
You can't do that, but that gets factored into your game's development timeline.
Yeah.
And these are regular delays. But sometimes what also happens is you created a system, you haven't play tested it enough internally.
Yeah.
But when you play test it outside with people, they give you feedback that, hey, this is not the best thing that we've seen. So you again have to do a bit of rework. So these are some certain nuances that go into the development pipeline, and it's fine. Every game faces this thing.
Are you doing anything interesting in the development of Mumbai Gullies involving more people? I read about it.
Yeah. I mean, we are doing so many interesting stuff. So while we are building this game internally, we are also taking the support of community. So recently we announced a voiceover audition
Okay.
for the game, because we have a lot of characters and NPCs that we have to voice out, right? And we need proper passionate people. We can't afford a celebrity voiceover right now, because we like a celebrity will eat up into our entire fundraise budget.
Yeah.
But what we also have realized is that India has a lot of talent. So
Hmm.
we put out an audition form wherein we asked people to submit their voice samples,
Okay.
and people submitted some crazy voices on that form. We went ahead, scouted through that list. About 200 odd people submitted their voices
Nice.
to that form, and we then shortlisted some people from that. We shortlisted about 20 odd people from that list, and they are now contributing their voices to the game. I showed you offline some of the crazy voice clips and audios that they have contributed. So that's an amazing thing that we are doing.
Nice.
Second thing is, because this was happening, we figured out that, hey, voiceovers is fine, but we also have multiple radio stations inside the game,
Yeah.
which actually, like, if you've played these popular
Yeah.
open world titles, they have this thing wherein once you sit inside a car, there's a radio station, right?
Yeah.
We have custom composed couple of songs for the game,
Okay.
but of course we cannot have access to huge sound libraries, because licensing costs for 90s Bollywood music
Yeah.
goes in lakhs.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that we are focusing and investing the budget in development and marketing rather than acquiring these fancy licenses,
Yeah.
because
Also, there is a limitation on these songs.
Yeah.
They have like a demography limitations.
Yeah.
So might was work in US, but China they ban it and all.
So we didn't want to get into all those technicalities, and of course, regardless of us having raised about $1.5 million, that budget is still small in the grand scheme of things, because games like Sleeping Dogs had a budget of $30 million a year.
Yeah.
Black Myth Wukong, which people regard as an indie game, had a development budget of $40 million.
Correct.
Right? Keeping that into account, we thought, okay, voiceovers worked with the community. Why not let the community contribute their music that they've created and which matches the vibe of 90s Mumbai, and have that featured in the radio stations? It's a win-win for both of us.
Correct.
Because new indie artists want to get their songs discovered, and we as Mumbai Gullies are a platform for people to discover that. Not just this, one more aspect, which is this video announcement is going on my channel shortly after, about in 1 hour. But this is something that I'll be talking about on your channel exclusively right now. Of course, this will get edited out and posted at a later timeline. But we have theaters inside Mumbai Gullies.
Okay.
Right. And we realized one thing, that people would be keen to watch some short movies inside these theaters. So on the form that is going on my channel live in 1 hour now is a video wherein I'm talking about people can create short 60 to 90-second videos, and if we like them, we will feature them inside the theater. So there will be like running shows inside the game.
Okay.
And people can go and players can go and watch these as side activities.
Okay.
And we realize one thing, that of course full length movies will not serve the objective, because that doesn't make sense. You won't watch a 2-hour movie inside a game. But you would be keen to watch like a 60 to 90-second short movie that might also deliver a message in some way or the other.
Correct.
And this will give a platform to budding movie creators or short movie creators. So this is how we are doing a couple of activities within the community. And that's how the game is completely different from a lot of other open world games out there, wherein we are taking community's help to build the game, and at the same time there's some crazy unique features that I don't really want to talk about right now. We'll let people try those out.
We'll do another podcast for that.
Once the game is released, part 2 of Nikhil Malankar GIGP will be on VAIBHAV's channel. So make sure you subscribe to VAIBHAV's channel for that.
Crazy. Talking about the delays, man, we spoke about the thing that is happening internally with the investors and all, but what do you say about, because this is something that I keep on hearing on my YouTube channel, and I'm sure you also did. What do you feel about crunch culture?
Crunch culture is needed.
Firstly, what is it and why does it happen?
So crunch culture is wherein you have to work on a project at an extended timeline. Let's say, for example, if your studio working hours are 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, but there will be times wherein you have to stay beyond 6 p.m. all the way till 12 a.m., 1 a.m. Who knows? There's no time limit on that. And that happens because, a game development process is so subjective. Like you're making something that is fun to play, or you're aspiring to make something that is fun to play, right? And fun is very subjective. Something that's fun for me might not be fun for you. Something that's fun for you might not be fun for me. And this is where you have to play test a lot of things. And it might so happen that a feature that you developed gets created into a bug, or a bug that you create becomes a feature. So and nobody knows. There's no right formula that once you do this will happen. It's not software development. Technically, it is a subset of software development. But when you're making an app, you know that you create this button, and that button is supposed to do just that one thing.
Correct.
But when it comes to a game, that one button can lead to a lot of other aspects. So your button is mapped to your HUD. Then maybe when you're pressing the pause button, the game does not get paused in the background. A lot of these aspects can happen, and which translates into delays or extended timelines. If you want to meet your deadlines, probably you'll have to invest a lot of time. And this is something that happens near to the release of the game almost always. Because there are so many things that keep on breaking. There are so many things that you have to fix, that it is needed for you to spend that extra time. There's no other alternative. And it's an unfortunate case, but it's an unfortunate thing that we have to live with as game developers.
And connecting to this is the work-life balance that we See, because why I'm bringing this question is because a lot of listeners are young, and with the cases of Cyberpunk or Red Dead Redemption 2, what happened, right, with this crunch culture, um, they are very scared to get into the industry. That's a number one reason they're scared, because they feel it. This is the part of the industry. For me, I think it's a part of every industry where you're doing something crazy, where you're doing something which nobody has done before. You have to put in a number of hours that nobody has put in before, right? Eventually, you are also looking at your benefit, your name into the credits.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you actually do that, right? But I face a lot of, and I'll be very honest, and I'll face a lot of backlash on the work-life balance theory. I strongly don't believe in it.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts?
I agree. But one thing that you also have to realize is that yes, you do work, but there are also support systems around you that need your time at times, right? I see that you spend a lot of time with your wife as well
Yeah.
offline, and while you say that you don't know it, but somehow unconsciously you've cracked the code,
Yeah.
right? And same is for me as well. I try to make sure that at least once I go back home, I spend time with my wife. I sit down for a dinner while we watch some TV, and then I go back to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think once you love what you do, time becomes irrelevant. And it's not to say that you need to clock certain number of hours,
Yeah.
like 70-hour work weeks or 80-hour work weeks. That's, I think, um, it doesn't matter how much you work, but the efficiency that you work with. But at the same time, when you are closer to your target, that those lines tend to get blurred, and that's when you consciously start to contribute. So if you're passionate about something, work life balance is something that you will figure out eventually.
Yeah.
But I don't think it exists, and I don't think it should exist to a certain extent. uh, while also being on the page that you have to give your time. So it's a very deep philosophical thing that you'll have to dive, and we can have a different podcast on this entire
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But it won't be the gaming podcast, then it'll be live podcast.
Yeah. See, I feel there are stages of life. There are different phases where you actually spend your time on certain things. I think the 20s to 30s, right? It's a time where actually you should actually hustle a lot.
Yeah.
In the sense and for me, I think if you're working in a domain that you're passionate enough, that is your life and that is your work. I mean, you would enjoy spending more time doing that,
Yeah.
and then there's no complaint about there's no difference between work versus life.
Yeah.
The part that is pending is your family around, right? I am personally very blessed, like you said, right? My wife Meera, she is happy that I'm working.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing something else. Like, she knows where to find me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a bottom line.
Same in my case as well. I think having a partner who supports your journey is very important, because a lot of things go south.
Yeah.
And you don't want that happening at your home ground.
Correct. Absolutely great, man. Great conversation. I want to, since we are coming to the conclusion of this whole conversation, I want to know what are the expectations from Mumbai Gullies.
Yeah, so I think a couple of course corrections that we are doing right now. When we started out our journey, we had an ambition that we put out in the market that we were achieving so and so about the space. Eventually, we kind of came into realistic timelines, and now we are at a stage where we know our roadmap.
Correct.
So we don't want to compare, and we don't want people to compare our game with any other game. We also want people to realize that it is still a game that is under development, and once it goes out, even the first version, while it's going to be free, there will be a lot of learnings that we'll be doing along the way. All we need is the support from the community, not just because of it's an Indian game. And I don't know, like a lot of people say that I've been playing the entire Desi angle, that it's an Indian game, that's why you need to support. No, don't support it because it's an Indian game. Support it because you like the content, because of the unique aspects that we are bringing to the table. Yes, the game has Mumbai Gullies in Mumbai, an Indian city in the name, but that is where the story ends. Beyond that, it is an independent game that has a lot of interesting content, fun voiceovers,
Yeah.
interesting gameplay elements, and also treat it as that. Treat it as a game that you shouldn't compare to any other game,
Yeah.
as you shouldn't any other game as well. And just enjoy the experience. Enjoy watching a Bollywood movie that you can control.
Got it, got it. When it actually came out, a lot of people compared it to GTA, right? Like Indian GTA stuff. Any comments on that?
Yeah, so I think to a certain extent, it was also partly wrong on my behalf to,
You use that somewhere,
we
right?
we use that, but the intent with using that phrase was it is just easier for you to explain a game of this nature.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Everyone has played GTA. I can't say that we are building a game like Sleeping Dogs, because Sleeping Dogs, while it's an amazing game, but the general public does not know what Sleeping Dogs is. They'll think that you're making a game on dogs or
Yeah.
canine culture
Got
or
it,
whatever,
got it.
right? So that is the reason why we used the word GTA, and I think the controversy actually started when with the very first article. Actually, I remember the first article after the trailer was launched. There was an article in Money Control wherein I gave an interview, and I said over there that GTA Vice City was my inspiration.
Yeah.
And that's where the people started picking that up, that they are building India's GTA. To a large amount of time, I actually was accepting that part, but now I want to say that after going through this entire journey, that guys, we are not building India's GTA. We are building Mumbai Gullies, which is an independent game by itself,
Yeah.
and there will be sequels of the game. So it's a more than a decade's journey that we are looking at, and we are right at the beginning. So a lot of interesting stuff to come along the way, and just stay tuned and wishlist the game on Steam, because the game is going to come out very soon. I don't have a release date yet. Actually, I should have worn the t-shirt Mumbai Gullies kab aa rahi hai mat puchna. But anyway, yeah, that's about it. And thanks a lot, Weber, for inviting me to your podcast. This is the Great Indian Gaming Podcast, guys. There will be a lot of mad people coming on this podcast talking about their journey. So please do subscribe to his channel and check out all the creators who do come on this podcast, because there are some really brilliant people. I think there was Rishi sir who came on the podcast before this. Absolute mad fun, and I enjoyed this conversation a lot. Well,
Yeah, but man, I loved it. Like you well clarified
yeah,
on the GTA stuff, and I'm like happy to help you in any case, any
we need
things that
we
you
need all the help that we can get.
Yeah. Before we actually wrap this, right, there are a couple of more things that I want
Yeah.
to bug you on. Uh, did you ever feel like because there is a lot of crap while you are happy with tiny moments of those successes while you are going through that journey, there's a negative crap always on a daily basis. Did you ever feel like giving up?
No, no. And I wouldn't feel like giving up ever, because this is something that I started out with back in 2009, and I've been blessed with so much happening along the way.
Yeah.
More than the negativity, I would look at the positive side, and that is what keeps me going. Because yeah, I mean, there will be people talking crap about everything, but no matter what you build, there will be a small number of people or a large number of people who keep talking keep talking negative about your stuff.
Yeah, but they're talking, right?
They're talking. So as long as they're talking, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not anywhere else. I'm just out there. I'm enjoying all the things that you're talking about the game. And once the game is a success, I will be that audience just reading through those comments and reminiscing the memories of how things were and how things are right now.
Yeah. Who's your inspiration, man?
Shah Rukh Khan, of course.
Yeah, dude, tell me something that you've learned from this guy, man.
Yeah, so many things, so many things. Determination, giving your best every single day, regardless of whatever happens around you, going through failure as an experience, and never giving up. Because one thing I really admired about Shah Rukh Khan back in the day was his effort on Ravan, which was his mega effort to bring
Yeah.
massive level of VFX to India.
Yeah.
And that is something that really resonates with me. Ki when you're pursuing something, pursue it with your entire might, regardless of whatever people are talking about you. like just chuck it. I mean, that's their job to do, not yours.
Yeah.
And people have a lot of free time where they get time to judge you.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, you just whatever happens around you, you still, if you work your way through it, you will make your mark in the industry, and as does have has Shah Rukh Khan. So I tend to jokingly say this at times, like I want to be regarded as the Shah Rukh Khan of gaming industry. And I want to put this out as a statement, because that is the power of manifestation.
Correct.
Till the point of time you don't say it out loud, people will not believe it. No matter how foolish it sounds today, if you keep doing that foolish thing, people will believe it. So that's what my honest, innocent belief is.
Yeah, I honestly, I hate his acting, but I really, really love his journey.
Yeah.
I love him as a person.
Yeah.
I like, obviously I've not met him, but I consume a lot of content, and whatever I've seen of him on screens, right, and like pieces of him in real life, and his journey from where he began to where he is today. You know this, right? In that song,
Yeah.
you
Chand
see,
Tare.
yeah, you see Mannat in the
Yes.
back in the background.
And eventually he bought the
it,
house.
man. Crazy. Yeah. Cool. One last thing. I want to know how self-aware you are, right? So, I just explain me from a third person's point of view who Nikhil Malankar is as a protagonist.
Do you want to
Who's this
talk-
guy?
Who is this guy? So, do you want it from a perspective of me explaining myself or someone from an
Someone
outsider?
from an outside. Like you know yourself very well.
Yeah. So I get two perspectives, right? One is from people who still believe in the project that we are making. So for them, it is this guy who started out his journey, been in the space for the last decade or so, worked his way up, put out content that got validated by the audience. Taking that data, he then raised funding, and using that funding, he went through a couple of failures, and this entire journey made a few mistakes along the way, but still persevered through all of them, and eventually is still having that intent to put out his game regardless of whatever is happening around him.
Yeah.
The other perspective is, ये तो साला scammer है. That's honestly those two perspectives. There's nothing in between. It's just complete extremes with me.
Crazy, bro. Crazy. Quick rapid fire that I
Yeah.
want to do. This is the first time that I'm doing with a guest.
Yeah.
But just want to try this, man. Tell me one favorite game. Do it quick.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Red Dead Redemption 2. One reason why?
Storyline.
Great storyline. Unity or Unreal?
Unreal.
PC or console?
PC.
Tell me what is the hardest? Coding, art, design, or marketing?
Design.
Why?
You have to think what is fun.
Okay. And one last thing. Your all-time favorite game character?
I will take some time for this. I can't pick one because there are so many, but Arthur Morgan tops my list because of Red
Dude.
Dead 2.
Same here.
Yeah.
He's a good man.
Yeah. I mean, I cried when he died.
Same here.
Like, seriously, I have this story. When I finished the game, not finished the game, actually, Arthur dying is not the end of the story, right? But when Arthur died, I went crying to my wife, saying that in Marathi, I said, "Oh, the mela, the mela, the mela," and my wife was sleeping. No, but yeah, I could sense that it was leading to that, and it was just that emotional connect.
Yeah.
I remember the last time that happened with me was in Last of Us 1, when Joel was actually running.
When Sarah dies.
Yeah, Sarah
When
dies. Yeah.
What amazing scene.
And that happens in the first 15 minutes of the game. You don't expect a game to make you cry in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah. Also, did you see the documentary?
I did, yeah.
There's one thing that needs to be mentioned here. While the actor Troy Baker was performing the scene where Sarah is in his hands and she dies, he did some takes where he actually screams out loud.
Okay.
Okay, he did few takes over and over again where he screams out loud and all. Eventually, they came to a point where it's all silence. In today,
I
if you
know, I
see
know.
that scene, it's and that silence is way more louder than the screams that he did.
Yeah.
He
This-
did that scene multiple times, and then Neil Druckmann was not happy with it,
Yeah.
and he did that later on again. And Troy Baker was a shit, man. I went through a lot of shit doing that scene. Don't make me do
Silence
it again.
speaks louder than words. I think that's also the theme that Interstellar played beautifully on.
Yeah,
But yeah,
and that's what we should be following, man. Silence is the loudest scream.
yeah.
What a great conversation, man. Nikhil, absolutely loved it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah.
I wish all the best for your game. Mumbai Gullies does well, and see you making a lot of bigger titles soon.
Fingers crossed.
Cool.
Thank you.
If you reached to this part in the episode, I'm very sure you've liked the conversation that we had. If you like the video, please leave a like and start a conversation in the comment section below. We've also added the links to our guest in the description, so please do check out. Also, if you're finding this video or the channel for the first time, do consider subscribing to the channel, because that will help us bring in more amazing guests on this podcast series. That's it for this episode. Thank you for watching the video.